Uh, Protein shake. So I just came back from the gym, so I'm pretty exhausted actually. Hello everyone, my name is Ian, the part-time Dungeon Master, and welcome back to D20 Sundays. I thought about doing another map making video like I did last week, as I received a lot of good praise on that one and a lot of attention, and I really like that. So next one that I do will probably be a map video, and it will also be how to draw essentially a battle map. I'm practicing to get better at that and all that fun jazz, and I'm waiting for some colors to come in. I'm getting some watercolor pencils, and I'm going to be using those to essentially draw from now on, because I hear they're a lot better than just using what I was using. So as far as today's video though, I wanted to talk to you about another aspect of playing Dungeons & Dragons, which is the party. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, what do you mean? That's the most basic thing. Why would you want to talk about it? Well, not a lot of people understand what I mean by the party, or what everyone else means. You see, Dungeons & Dragons is a cooperative game. Sometimes it is competitive, but that's depending on the situation and how everything's written. But for the most part, it is a cooperative game. You and the rest of your party must work like a well-oiled machine in order to power through things, otherwise you're going to stall out and be defeated yourselves. Sometimes that does mean running away, but that's how things simply go. The party itself is very important to any game. A dungeon master is nothing without his players. So how do you help make sure that your party is essentially up to snuff? Well, you kind of want some basic roles filled. And you can rotate out who plays what in order to allow everyone to play what they want. But for the most part, you want to make sure these main three things are filled. The first one is what most people from MMOs called the tank. Now, it doesn't really exist in Dungeons & Dragons. It never has. But the tank of the party can be a fighter, or a barbarian, or a paladin, and their main focus is essentially to garner as much attention as possible to where everyone wants to attack him instead of the rest of the party. Now, you can work with your dungeon masters how you can do this, but for the most part, you want to be using your intimidation and maybe your deception or something else, and then you essentially want to throw insults at the enemy. It's like, oh, come on, no, ignore them. You want some of me, you big fat coward. You want to try and swing at me, but I'm going to beat you within an inch of your life if you even try. Things like that. Work with your dungeon master in order to essentially help fill this role in the sense of how you can make sure the enemy keeps its attention on you and not the rest of the party. Sure, you might get overwhelmed with a lot of damage being thrown at you in one round, but if you are smart and you play defensively as well as your party backs you up, you should be fine. Another idea, though, is also to have kind of an off-tank, essentially a fighter and a barbarian in the party, and the two of them essentially like mitigating who gets what. The next one is what I feel like is the most important of any group, which is the healer. Doesn't matter how much damage you guys can put out, if you guys can't take a lot of damage, then you're going to need some heals. So I normally suggest you guys have at least one healer, be a druid, a cleric, oracle, depending on the version or the edition you're playing. But for the most part, you want someone who is able to cast healing magic. Even if it's just cure wounds or healing word, still, magic that heals is really good. Bards are very good at this as well. So make sure that at least 1 to 2 party members can cast some sort of healing, depending on the size of your group. If you've got a 4-man group, then 1 party member who can cast healing should be fine. But if you've got a 6-man group or a 7-man group, then you might want 2 or 3. So, on to the next part, which is also very important, is the wizard. Now, I like wizards more than I like sorcerers, but for the most part, it's more of you want someone who is able to identify arcana very well as to sling spells that do a lot of damage. So, for the most part, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards, and bards, and I'm probably forgetting one, would be most suited for this, as they would have the best chances of identifying arcane magics. Now, druids would be, for more natural, so nature and religion. Clerics would be more for religion. You get my point. So, having someone who covers the arcane of your party is just as important as someone who's essentially there to soak up damage to keep it off of everyone else. So that's kind of a nice balance. You want a tanky character who's able to soak up the damage to keep everyone else from getting hit. You want the healer to keep that tanky person alive, and maybe even the other ones who might get a stray hit on them every now and then. And then you want the one who is able to not only sling spells, but also identify magical items that could possibly ruin your day. And those are what I feel like are the three pillars of a strong party. You want those three roles filled. You want a tanky character, you want a healy character, and you want a arcane character of some sort. Or at least one that's able to identify arcane. Now, as far as what classes can fill what, that's going to be up to you and how you play them, as each class can kind of be built in a certain different way. For the most part, though, for a tanky guy, you want a paladin, a fighter, or a barbarian. They're pretty tanky as it comes. And when it comes to healers, there's bards, celestial-bound warlocks, and clerics, of course. And then for the spellcasters, druids also can be healers or just normal spellcasters, bards, same, wizards, sorcerers, warlocks. It all depends on how you build them. And the final one is you guys want ranged combat, as in someone who does not need to be close up in order to hurt someone. Sure, the fighter or the barbarian can technically use bows and, javelins, but having a rogue in the party with a crossbow or a longbow or whatever, or even a ranger, that covers a lot of ground. They're able to give cover and, fire at enemies from a distance, as well as, possibly give supporting ways. For the rogue, it would be like, oh, hey, sneak attack from a distance. Oh, yeah, I don't have to get close, so my D8 of health isn't going to be in danger. Same for the ranger. They could do stuff like ensnaring strike and so on. So it's three pillars and a support pillar, essentially, now that I think about it. Because I feel like every party should have a ranged character, someone who's good at ranged combat. And because sometimes magic doesn't work because of one reason or another, but a well-placed arrow, that generally works. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next D20 Sundays. I'm out.